Okay, today's video we're going to talk about advertising fatigue and how this actually cuts into your profits running online advertising massively. Not just on Facebook that most people that are in the advertising space talk about, but any ads that you're running. YouTube ads, Google Display Network ads, LinkedIn ads, Taboola ads, doesn't matter. And for that matter, any ads anywhere. Radio ads, TV ads, it's all the same. You show an ad, there's a point in which you show an ad too many times to somebody, the ROI on your campaign is going to start to decrease instead of increase. Initially, showing your ad more times to somebody increases your ROI. But then there's an inflection point where it's going to peak and then it's going to start going down. Your goal is to figure out where that inflection point is so that you can switch to advertising something else to those end prospects. And whereas I see a lot of people talking about ad fatigue and having, testing and monitoring your ad frequency rate, which is the number of times a said person or said audience sees an ad, I don't see anybody talking about what is the strategy when you switch up the ad, how do you switch it up? And specifically, what should I do to make sure that I don't run my ad too long? Most people are going to say, is when your ad is shown 7 times to a prospect, that's the time. Well, that's not necessarily the case. That's an average between all markets. There's a way to tell when you're showing an ad too much and then cut the bleeding right then and then switch to another ad and then have a specific ad lined up that's the most ideal for them to see second and then third and then fourth and fifth, so that you don't have any ad fatigue going on in your business. And the second and third ad and fourth ad and fifth ad actually make the fact that you use a specific sequence after the first ad got, you burned the user out on the first ad, that it all works together as part of one cohesive unit. Because that's ultimately what you should be doing. A lot of people don't do it because it's extra work. Also, obviously, people aren't talking about it, but I'm going to tell you exactly how to set that up so you don't have any ad fatigue, and you're minimizing the period of time in which you're losing money because you're showing an individual ad to somebody too long, and not just randomly randomly deciding when an ad is shown too long. You are on top of it. So I'll talk about all that in today's video, and so I'll get right into the content here. Everybody basically knows Facebook ad performance is tied to ad fatigue, and then after about 7 viewings of your ad, your targeted audience that you're trying to show your Facebook ad to won't respond to that ad as much. And then on top of that, there's something called the power of sevens in marketing and advertising, where somebody who sees an ad one time won't actually respond at as high a rate as if they seen that ad the 7th time. And there's a buildup. Each time they see the ad, they take it a little bit more seriously. Why? Because the human mind is trained to not take things as seriously when they are less familiar with what's being shown to them. So, this is basically like the whole premise of political advertising. You see political advertising that all it is just the guy's name or gal's name and the picture of their face. That doesn't say why you should vote for them, but they know the more times you see that, the more familiar you're going to get with them, the more likely you're going to think that they're better because of the familiarity you now have with them. And whoever gets their name and their face shown or seen by the most out of all their local competition, the more people that are going to get to vote for you, and the more votes you're going to get, basically. So it's just a game of blanketing, flooding the market with your name, and you get voted in just from that one fact and feature alone of what you're doing. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that basically, if you could get your name spotted by more times than your competition in any political campaign, you would basically win, because people don't pay attention to the details. Why, what is the individual thing somebody believes in, unless it's like the U.S. presidential election. They just simply vote for who they think is the most, well-known, respected, and that comes to familiarity at the end of the day. So getting back into the topic here. So people again, Facebook marketing, they know you should show your ad about 7 times and that you should switch it up to a new ad, right? Because of this power of 7s in marketing where you take ads from a company more seriously, the more often you've seen it up to a point, and then it starts to, your ROI diminishes from that said ad. But it's, even though people only talk about ad fatigue as it comes to Facebook ads, I made this video to tell you guys and tell the public that this applies to every other ad that runs everywhere. YouTube ads, Google Display Network ads, and so forth. And the amount of times, like I said earlier, that they should see the ad will vary a lot. It's not just 7 times. Sometimes they should see it 3 times. Sometimes they should see it 15 times. So instead of just using the 7 number, you could get a lot more out of an ad by monitoring what you need to monitor is the click-through rate on that ad. A lot of people still don't know to this day that advertise online that the click-through rate of your ad, no matter where you're advertising, will dictate how much you're paying for a click from the people that you want to get to click on your ads. The higher the click-through rate, the less your cost per click is. They call it pay-per-click advertising online. You're paying for a click or per click. So yes, you're paying per click for that ad or on that ad. The cost, what you're paying per click, just is dictated by how many people click through, or what out of 100 times your ad is shown, what percentage people are clicking through on that ad. So really what you're doing is you're paying per ad showing. And the whole game is, how do I say something that's so relevant, and I'm targeting people that are so apt to be interested in what I'm offering as a whole, that my click-through rate goes to 2, 3, 4, 5% versus 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5%, because that dictates I'm going to be paying 10 cents a click versus $5 a click, and makes the economics of the ad that I'm running actually pay off at the end of the day. So pay-per-click isn't an accurate statement. You're paying for ad space online, and whether or not that ad space works to get you an ROI, counts is dependent on message market match, saying the right thing to the right person, and as it comes to ad frequency, not showing it too long to the people that you're trying to sell to with that ad, and abandoning ship once you've got all the value out of that ad that you can. So everybody wants to make one ad and one landing page that changes everything in the market. I know, I hear it all the time. I run at an ad agency. They want to just sprinkle my little, magic fairy dust on their ad account. I'm going to come up with this one ad that's going to make them millions of dollars. It's not that simple, and if it was, somebody in your market would have already done it, okay? For the most part anyway. I've had some successes like that, but this is rare. You usually have to have a multi-tiered, multi-pronged approach online. You got to have different messages for different people, and the people you sell to, you got to have multiple messages for them, taking them to multiple different landing pages that expand on the individual points you're making in those individual messages for things to pay off well for you. Why? Because a lot of people are skeptical about what they see online. The biggest reason why they don't buy from you is not that they don't need what you have, assuming you know what you're doing to target an ad. It's they don't believe what you're saying, what you could do for them will really work for them itself. And you got to build that trust up. You can't do that in a single event a lot of times, unless they already know and trust and like your brand already. So if you get past the idea that you are going to have that one ad that's just going to make you insanely rich, and that you're going to have to come up with multiple ads, but you could still get rich, then you can start to wrap your head around you need a more robust strategy and sequence to be able to sell like you want to sell in your market. The reality is you will easily make 2 times the money or more from the people that you're trying to target in your market by rotating different ads for your target audience, and even before users reach the 7x ad frequency threshold that most people tell you is the point in which you should stop advertising to a certain person, an individual in your market you're trying to sell to. So what you do is you start out with an ad that introduces your product or service to that prospect you're trying to sell to, and then you run this ad for a period of time until you see your click-through rates dropping. Your click-through rates dropping indicate, like I was saying before, that your cost per click is going to go up, okay? And as you know, you can only pay so much for a click before your ads are just not going to be profitable anymore, no matter what your conversion rate from that click is on your site. And so you can kind of guess how much you can pay for a click before your ad campaign becomes unprofitable. It's nice to do that math ahead of time, but respectively, once you start heading downhill and your cost per click starts climbing, that's the time when you should have your next ad ready to go. It should be ready to go before you go ahead and get started for all practical purposes, but respectively, we'll get into that a bit later. But when that click-through rate starts going down, and then as a result your cost per click goes up, starting to go up, you immediately switch out the next ad that you show to the user. And this is where also I see people they're not explaining things correctly as it comes to ad frequency and ad fatigue. The next thing you show to that user shouldn't just be another type of ad that tries to get people to buy. You should have a controlled funnel for people to go through that focuses on the other selling points for your users, because individually, like I was saying before, it's hard to say one thing to somebody that's going to get them to instantly want to buy from you. But having multiple messages showing up for that person, the combined effort of all those messages come together to get you a greater result than each individual ad could do on its own. So you have other selling points that you focus on in these other ads that you're eventually going to try to use to sell to that person. Things like reviews, celebrity endorsements, warranties that you have, guarantees that you have. And so they see the ad, they're familiar with your product or service. Then once your click-through rates start going down a lot, or a significant amount, let's say more than 25% than they were before, you have your next ad that starts showing up for that same audience that you're targeting, that mentions that you offer a money-back guarantee as long as the person sends it back within the first 90 days. You're not going to charge them anything, if you will. And we pay for return shipping or whatever. Anyway, you do that, and then you run that until your click-through rate goes down 25% less than what it started out with. And then they see the next ad that may have a celebrity endorser of that product that you're selling, and you do the same thing there. Run it until the click-through rate goes down. And of course, if each individual ad that you're running, if the click-through rate is low to begin with, you're going to right away shut it off. You know it doesn't work. But assuming you knew it would work, you run it until the click-through rate starts dropping. Then the next ad comes in. And what you're trying to do is think of all the reasons, not so necessarily think, sorry, to update what I said there. You interact with your customers or clients on an ongoing basis. You know why people are reluctant to buy. What are the things stopping them to buy from you there? They don't trust you. They want to hear, ask you for references. They want to know who else is using your product or service. And those things that people ask during the sales process itself or prior to buying, you work the individual things into your follow-up sequence to drain those objections that they potentially have, so that once they see all of the ads that you're going to show to them, any of those things that normally would stop them, that 80% of the different reasons why people don't buy, that they wanted to buy but they're not sure about, that all gets taken care of with these other ads. So you run the ads until your click-through rate performance on each one drops, and once they get through a series of 7 ads like that, then you have an ad that asks them to buy directly. Hey, we're running a special in July. We're offering 20% off to anybody who buys in the month of July. You can use code July20. You run that ad until your click-through rate drops. Then you stop. If the user hasn't clicked on any one of these individual ads yet, you just stop, okay? If somebody, however, has clicked on one of these ads, you have your same ads that you had running here run for you, i.e. what they call retargeting or remarketing, for a period of 30 days after they've clicked on that ad. If they still haven't, basically bought from you in that 30-day period of time already, for the most part, then you stop marketing to them. In some markets, this will be 60 days, some in 90. The higher the price point of what you're selling is, the longer time it takes for people to usually decide to buy. And so the longer the time you're going to want to remarket to them for your market, for your customer base. So if what you're selling is $50,000, you'll want to remarket for a year. Ultimately, and you can control, of course, naturally, there's ways, by the way, once your click-through rate goes down a certain percentage through Google Ads and running ads on Google Display Network and on YouTube, the next ad will kick on, and the recent ad that the ad you were running before will automatically pause, so that each individual ad in this sequence only runs as long as the performance stays up on the ad, by the way. And so, like I said, though, the main point of all this is the individual ad, no matter how good it is, you're not going to make near as much money than if you would have had these other 7 ads that run and serve a purpose of supporting what you're initially selling to the user on this ad here. You're going to make 2 to 3 times as much money having these other ads. And that is where, what I was saying before, everybody wants to get rich off of one ad. It usually doesn't happen because you're not getting the benefit, the extra 3 times, the 3x additional sales you're going to get from the same exact advertising budget using multiple ads to sell to the person instead of just using one ad by itself. And for that matter, if you're getting any kind of traction on your first ad that you're marketing, which means you have an audience that you're targeting that has a high enough saturation level of people that would buy your product or service, you should be immediately going to set up all these other ads, because you're going to make the other 2/3 of the money you're going to make by having these other ads shown to that same person in that, or those same people in that same target audience, than if you didn't have those other 7 ads going, if you will. Plus, of course, the offer ad, which makes technically 8 other ads. But you get the general point here, that one ad by itself generally doesn't cut it, and waiting and making sure every ad gets seen by the person exactly 7 times, which there's technically a way to do that, like with Google Ads on the Google Display Network, YouTube, also on other platforms like LinkedIn and so forth. That's not the way to get the most value out of what you're doing. It's you run it until the click-through rate drops a certain point, i.e. your cost per click goes up a certain minimum amount, indicating that you're not going to get any. You extracted every bit of value you can out of that particular ad until the cost to generate a click from that ad went up a certain amount, where no matter if you're getting a click or not, you're not going to have profit from that user anymore. So definitely, you need to show your ad multiple times to each person. That's because a lot of people aren't going to take an ad seriously or even see it until you've shown it to them multiple times. You got to be cognizant of how much you can get out of that ad, and what you follow them up later on, instead of just being a random ad. In summary here, it should directly tie into what you've shown them before. And then also, to sum this up, instead of constantly trying to find new audiences to sell to, which that actually is pretty much the hardest thing to get online advertising to work for your business, once you find an online audience that works, it's much easier to get more sales, to do everything you can to squeeze out every bit of value from that audience, than it is to find a new audience that works. And this funnel here, per se, is the way to extract way more value out of an audience that you find that actually works, and what you want to ultimately do for yourself at the end of the day. So you do testing to find an audience, and when you find an audience, you do this because you're going to make 3 times as much money from that audience than you would trying to have one ad sell to them. And unless they click on your first ad, they don't see any other ads. So even if they don't click on your ad, they see other ads that then ultimately get them to click on at least something. And then, of course, they're going to keep seeing all your other ads for a minimum time period while they're thinking about it, to get them to finish buying, so to say. So that pretty much is the system I wanted to get across to you, where your ads aren't to be shown anymore, that you don't want to show anymore for anybody in a target audience that you are marketing to. When the click-through rate goes down, the cost per click goes up, that's the time to cut and run. And you should have other ads lined up that all tie into supporting what you said in your first ad for you to really do well with online advertising. Not just random approach after random approach after random approach, every other ad that they see ties into the first one. And the fact that they see 2 ads, they're more likely to click than if they saw 1. If they saw 3 ads that were all, in the same theme, they'd be more likely to click on an ad than they saw a first ad. And each subsequent ad that they see, they're more likely to click on your offer than they would have previously, because the buildup of the different messaging is what builds up the value of your company, your product or service, and the trust level of your product or service and company that gets them to want to take you seriously and consider your product or service in the first place. And as a last thing, to reinforce what I said about landing pages, each subsequent ad, by the way, you're not sending them to your same landing page again. If you want to do this the right way, going back to what I said about it's harder to find an audience to sell to than it is to just get more value out of an audience that you find that works. Sending somebody where you feature a celebrity endorsement on one of these ads, you send them to a page that talks about that celebrity endorsement. You don't send them to the same landing page every other ad sends the user to, because you're going to get a lot more value out of your person and your audience that way than you would otherwise. So, respectively, I mentioned you'll make 3 times as much money doing it this way than just showing the one ad. And if they don't click on that one ad, you're going to give up on them per se, or basically show them other ads, but those other ads are just random approaches. You start adding these custom landing pages to each ad, so to say, so that when they click on one ad, they see your other ads, and then when they click on those ads, they can get to a custom landing page each time. Now you're actually talking about 5 times or more that you can be able to make from a audience that you find works. So again, trust me, it's way easier to just spend more time to sell the audiences that you find that work than to find more audiences that work, because you'll spend a lot of time to find an audience that works. And once you have a funnel that works, so to say, and you can get 5 times more out of an audience that works, all the work that you're doing to find new audiences that will work, you're getting 5 times the value out of each one. Why not just spend the time to get that extra 5x worth of value out of each audience you find than only 20% of the value that you would have got trying to make sure that one ad and then another random ad and then another random ad to get the value out of what you're doing there. So everything that they see in sequence, assuming that they're all relevant to what the user actually wants to know to take your company seriously, gets the person to want to click an individual ad by itself, even no matter how good, just doesn't have the same effect for the user. So anyway, with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. If you like this video, I have a ton of other videos on this channel about online advertising techniques that guarantee results for your campaigns. Why do I say guaranteed? Because at my ad agency, we guarantee results for our clients before they pay fees. And the stuff that I share with you is all the stuff that we use to guarantee results for our clients. I manage a few dozen ad accounts on an ongoing basis for our clients, and I give you the strategies I use to guarantee our clients' results. So it's the best information you're going to find on YouTube, online, about how to make money, the real way to make money with Facebook ads, Google ads, and so forth. So you should subscribe if you haven't already. I also have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog, where if you like the channel, you'll love the blog as well. It has a lot of my high-end writing there, where I go through other strategies that also have proven and gotten results for our clients in the past. If you have any questions about anything I covered today, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. Ask me any PPC-related question you'd like. I'd be happy to try to answer it for you as best as I can. Beyond that, if you liked the video, got a lot of value out of it, I'd appreciate it a like. And with that, if you're looking for somebody to just do the stuff that what I talked about on this video today, you can reach out to me at my firm at guaranteeppc.com. I can give you a free analysis to see if we can work together. We don't work with any and every client that that reaches out to us, but I can at least try to estimate what I would do for you and how much sales results I could get for you if we were to work together. And we don't charge for that analysis per se. So just reach out to me and I'll look at your stuff and we'll see if we can do something together. If all you need is great advertising and you got a great product or service, we could probably work together. So, and then with that, if we've worked in your market already, and if you're not looking for a full-on ad agency to take the reins on your campaign and just, start to scale your sales for your company, we actually have campaign templates that work for dozens of other markets. So we've gotten results in that market, you're working in that market. Instead of going through the years of testing and implementation we've done in that market to get results that we have in your market, you could simply take the ads and the landing page templates and everything else that work for your market, apply them to your accounts, and get the same results we were getting, of which we would be able to tell you what the results are up front because we already obviously use those same ads to get the same results in our client's market that would not be in direct competition with you. It's in a different geographic territory specifically, or what have you, or whatnot. So anyway, if you're interested in that, reach out to my firm. We'll let you know what results we have and what markets and we have available like that. So that said, if you have any questions, let me know. Hope to see you in my next video. See you later.